Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Q&A video for The Walking Dead, leading up to the second half of The Walking Dead Season 8. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts on what is the best explanation or reason, if we have to choose just one, for the mid-season finale character death. And spoiler warning, if you guys are not caught up for The Walking Dead, which just means if you haven't seen the mid-season finale for The Walking Dead Season 8 yet. So continuing along with the videos, as per usual, guys, we've done tons this week. If you've missed any of them, they're all on the channel for you to watch. You can see them all. We've gone through kind of Chandler Riggs' explanation for what happened with the death on Sunday night. That video is in the channel. We've gone through his dad's kind of Facebook short rant, or, just something, comments about it, about him kind of being fired. We've gone through the possible reasons why, like why would they decide to do this, and I've seen all of your guys' comments. So what is the best explanation for why they decided to do this, why they decided to kill off a character that is still alive even to this day after 15 years in the Walking Dead comic book series, in the TV series, in the mid-season finale of Season 8, during the midst of all-out war, when there's lots of different things you could have done, why kill him off at that point? Why not just have him be, I don't know, have a grenade go off beside him or something, and him get a concussion or something like that, and them think he's dead, and then, a dumpster situation and maybe bring him back or something. But why definitively kill him off? Why just, go for that and, do that so many, just so early compared to the Walking Dead comics. I mean, who knows? In the comics, he might survive a whole damn series. I would not be surprised if in the comic book series he did just straight up survive all the way through. So this question came in, and again, you guys can still weigh in on this one because it's still, it's not early days like we've had almost a week at this point since Sunday. But because it's the end of the week now, but still, it's something that there's still new information coming, little by little from different people involved with the show, giving their thoughts on it. And it's a pretty huge deal for The Walking Dead. It's one of the biggest character deaths ever. Some people are calling it the biggest character death ever, bigger than Lori, bigger than Andrea, or any of these other characters to kill off Carl. And maybe they're right, maybe it is, because it's it's pretty crazy. So Mr. Hardcore Horror sent this one through, and I wanted to use this one for a video because I think it's just really great in its simplicity and just a great comment. You guys can send me any other questions you have, of course, too. He says, comment for future Q&A video, Trev. In my opinion, there's only one real reason, or true reason, he says, for killing off Carl. And he says, attention. Gimple is afraid The Walking Dead will no longer be the biggest show around, or the biggest show that there is. AMC is afraid too. They are scrambling to get mainstream media coverage to heighten interest again. They just chose to do it in the worst way possible, at least for him, from a story perspective. So sounds like he doesn't like the Carl death idea or anything. It doesn't matter if Chandler is older than comic Carl. It doesn't matter if some comic storylines wouldn't make sense with an older version of Carl. Good writing can remix and change things to always make it work. Look at TV Carol versus comic Carol, for example. The Walking Dead no longer makes the show for the fans. They make the show for ratings. They sold out. So pretty much he's saying, pretty simple, right? I mean, it's pretty simple. His explanation for it is simply ratings. It's simply because if you look at the ratings for Season 7, after the big, double death in the Season 7 premiere, you see a huge decline in the series popularity, and surprising to me, it continued this year. Now, when they were producing the mid-season finale, this premiere would not have aired at that point, so they would not have known that the viewership would go even lower. But if you look at Season 7 premiere, it goes down from 17 to around 10, and by the end of the season, it's at around 11. So it pretty much stays at around 10 or 11 all the way through for US in terms of millions of viewers. This season, surprisingly, even though you're seeing all that war, even though you're seeing the group fight back against Negan, it started off with 11.4, and then it went under 9 into 8, and then it actually broke under 8 to 7.85, and the mid-season finale was only at 7.89, which is, by standards for Walking Dead versus a couple years ago, is very, very low for the series. So I like his comment here. Now, it's not because I'm just to say that, the only reason why they killed Carl was to boost ratings. There's obviously, a number of reasons that would go into this, and you can't really just say, I think that one reason solely is responsible for it. once we found out that, Chandler Riggs didn't want to leave the series, because that was the first thing we all thought, like, okay, he probably wanted out, which is why they killed him off. But no, they actually did decide to kill him off. He didn't really want out of the show. They decided to do it. So, I actually think that this has a huge part to deal with it, because in terms of story and in terms of the writing leading in the mid-season finale, now, there's going to be more stuff coming in episode 9, so we're going to get to see a little bit more of, the story and why they decided to do this, and how, Carl's death is going to impact the others and their decisions in the future. But those decisions right there at the end of this season, whatever they decide to do, in terms of the importance of the characters, Carl is such an important character. I would even say he's more important than some of our villains. Like, could I say that Carl is more important than Negan? I don't know. That's kind of tricky. I guess that's subjective. But I do think Carl is probably just as important as Negan. So if you're going to go ahead and kill Carl off in order to have Rick feel a way differently about, the villain or about something like that, it just feels to me like it's not worth it to do that in terms of the story in order to kind of bring Negan back. So this is really tough from our perspective to kind of say this, but I do see what Mr. Hardcore Horror is saying, which is that they probably did it also, or the biggest reason probably, and this is the honest truth, is probably because the show did decline a lot after the season 7 premiere. And of course, if you guys think that AMC does not know, what kind of viewership or ratings their series are getting, they know, they care. Some people have argued with it, so like, Trev, ratings don't matter, they don't care what the ratings are. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely just ludicrous to say that. I mean, of course they know what the show is doing, and even though you might hear that like the cast doesn't really care, well, yeah, but does the network care? Do they care about interest in their flagship series? You bet your sweet ass they do. They want to know, and I guarantee you they are going to, if things get bad, like if you look at this season and you start to see them get, below 8 million, this kind of thing, this is like a big, this is a big bold move for Walking Dead to kill off Carl when he's still alive in the comics. It's just a huge departure from the comics. It's a high risk maneuver type of deal. It's a big thing to do for the series, and I absolutely guarantee you, if the ratings were still at 14 million or 15 million views per episode, I really agree with Mr. Hardcore on this one. I don't think they would have done it. I really don't. I think that it definitely had to play a role in this one. They had to think that, we got to somehow try to get some of these viewers back, a lot of these viewers that are leaving, that are not watching after the season 7 premiere. We have to do something big. We have to keep people watching, and killing Carl as part of the season will get us there. So kind of what he's saying as well, too, here is that he's, and other people have said this too in comments, and I agree with this also, that, they're not certain, like he says, he's confident it's going to get to season 10. He's confident, Scott Gimble's confident that we're going to see a 10th season of the show. So, yes, but he's not certain that we're going to see, like, it's not guaranteed that we're going to see a 10th season of the show. That's not, set in stone, I would say. And if you start losing a lot more viewers, or it goes down and down and down, you would expect to start to see them do some big twists and some big things to try and stir the pot, or to try and get people to pay attention again. So people that are like, yeah, it's The Walking Dead, they kill off anybody, so whatever. Maybe if he's worried the show's not going to get to 10 seasons, or maybe, it's not going to work, or it's not going to, be at the level that AMC wants it to be, and he's getting downward pressure, because we don't know, again, this is all internal stuff, it's not public, it's private, but, with the company, but if he's getting downward pressure to try to get, get those viewers back, to try to keep Walking Dead at a certain level, and The Walking Dead is kind of dwindling, which is what we're seeing, you would expect to see some big risk moves where you're killing off characters that, if you were getting a lot more, you probably wouldn't do. I do agree with this. I do agree that the ratings had to play some part. The success of the show, kind of the way the show has been declining as of late, and certainly now, if you look at it under 8 million views per episode, certainly now with this season, you would think that it makes sense to do something big like this in order to try to get those ratings back up again. I mean, obviously, the season 7 premiere wouldn't have been 17 million, viewers in the U.S. alone if people didn't know that some Negan was going to kill somebody, and it was a big cliffhanger, and people didn't know what was going to happen. So obviously, character deaths can enhance ratings. You can in Walking Dead. You kill off a big character, boom, next thing you know, a lot of people are kind of like talking about it, and the show is kind of hot. So, to do that, I do agree that it would, boost things for the show. And, that's probably part of the aim here, which is to kind of boost that up as part of the season and really, make sure people come back in February, make sure that as many people as possible are watching it. And really, if that doesn't work to kill off, some of your biggest characters, to try to, get that hype for the show or get that kind of, sense of danger and everything back into the series and uncertainty, then probably nothing will, to be honest. So a great comment. Then again, we have to see the rest of the story first to see how smooth this fits in and why it, story-wise, it makes a lot of sense. Because pretty much his answer on Talking Dead and his answer in interviews was for the story. They killed Carl in order for the story to kind of feel like it wasn't contrived, to feel natural, to feel smooth, and to feel like the decision logic that, the characters are using makes sense, right, later on for some big decisions. Personally, though, I really like the description that if they're not sure it's going to get to season 11 or 12 or whatever, or 10, then maybe they don't care so much about keeping Carl around, because it's like, yes, Carl is the future of the comics when you get into season 10, 11, 12, 13, but if you're not sure that you're going to get there even, then maybe you do kill Carl off, because you're just like, well, let's throw that one at them. They won't see it coming. It'll get the buzz around the show again. It'll be big. No one will see it coming, and that's what they're going to do if they have to do that to get it to 10, and then when they get to that bridge, they can cross it when they get there and figure out a way to give that part to someone else, like they did with Dale in the TV series earlier. It's just that this is such a big one. This is the biggest they've ever done. So weigh in on this one in the comments below. If you could pick one reason, guys, what do you think it is for why they decided to kill Carl off? And do you think that trying to create buzz for the show, trying to get as many people glued and watching like they did a couple years ago might factor in? I think it absolutely did, and I think it does, and I think it's probably more than anything else is probably like, yeah, that makes sense. You do play, you do throw a Hail Mary if things, if you're down by a certain amount of points, you got to go for it, right? So, and I don't want to paint the picture of The Walking Dead is not doing well. Even 8 million views an episode is still fantastic, because that's in the U.S. alone. You got to count international merchandise and all the other stuff too. So for sure. Next one is for Q&A, Trev. Do you think Scott Gimple and AMC are trying to sabotage The Walking Dead show, making it unsellable to another network because of the lawsuit? Carl could have been easily replaced with the time skip, or the actor who played him, Chandler could have been. They could have recast and said they needed him to be older. I know that means they may have had to recast, someone like Enid too. But it's better than killing off Carl. What do you think? And then love the channel button. So, with that one, I mean, recasting, you don't even really have to get there. If you're questioning whether or not to even keep the character alive or to kill him off, and you decide to kill him off in order to benefit the story and in order to keep the buzz around the show going and keep people, glued, then, being like, we need a big character death here, who are we going to use? Well, it'd be cool to have Carl for season 10, 11, and 12. But if we kill him off, man, that'd be huge, right? It's pretty simple, right? It's like, but The Walking Dead's never going to sell. I know some people have said that. I can almost guarantee you The Walking Dead is not going to sell AMC. AMC is not going to sell The Walking Dead. That'd be like McDonald's selling the Big Mac. It's not going to happen. Like Burger King is not getting Big Macs. Okay, let's be honest here. They got their Whopper. That's cool. HBO's got their Game of Thrones. But, you're not going to see AMC sell their flagship series. Not going to happen. Jay Nerlacker says, I'm so confused. They showed Carl in the flash forward with Old Man Rick. He was there. So how can they kill him if he's in the flash forward? Can someone please shed some light on this? Well, I guess you could go that, the flash forward sequence is actually maybe a dream sequence or something like this. But you are right that maybe it was a decision that kind of came into play, because he said that he got the news when he was rehearsing for episode 6, I think he said, something like that. He got the news when he was rehearsing for episode 6 in June, roughly. So that almost sounds to me kind of like it was like, not that it was kind of a, like an easy decision to make. Obviously, it's a huge decision to make, but it sounds to me almost like it was something that partway through maybe they decide like, okay, we better do this or something like that to really boost it. So I don't know, man. That's kind of tricky, but that is strange that he is in that, or the flash forward sequence in that earlier. We'll see, man. Zombie Killer says, what does Robert Kirkman think of Carl's death? I haven't heard anything. So for Zombie Killer, so far, I have not seen anything either. I don't know if there's a new article today or yesterday because I didn't check. But this week, though, right after, the premiere and all that, I didn't see anything. I know he's got his show, Secret History of Comics, is it? And, so he's really busy developing other shows, writing the Walking Dead comic series, doing the other stuff. So I wonder how he feels about the Carl death and just how he feels about this overall, because it's such a huge death in the Walking Dead TV series that, I always heard from interviews and that and things surrounding the show. He never said it directly, but I always got the impression that he didn't like the fact that Andrea was killed off so early. Like, he hated the fact that Andrea was killed off near the season 3 finale there. And, so he didn't like that. And how would he feel about the Carl being killed off? I don't know, but I'm positive that him and Scott would have a good relationship to where if he was not okay with it, they wouldn't have done it. I think if he wasn't okay with it, they wouldn't have done it. But I haven't heard anything yet on his take on it or why they did it, why they decided to do it. But he is, he's got lawsuits and stuff going on. Like, he's, this is what's going on with the show. It's not just as simple as like, okay, you just got a show, but, there's also lawsuits in here. There's other stuff going on. I don't know, to what degree his involvement is with the show, if it's the same, if it's changed at all. Like, I just don't know if he cares, because that's one thing too, right? The comics is his, right? But the TV show, it's also his, but it's other people's as well too. And in terms of leverage and ownership, he doesn't have, like, he's heavily involved, as well as with Fear too. But, at the end of the day, it's not owned by Skybound. It's like, it's part of his stuff, but, the comics is his, it is his. So he can do whatever he wants with the comics. But the TV series is, it's not exactly, it's not just his. That's what I'm trying to say here. So I'll be looking for that. If I see an interview, I'll be sure to do a video on it, post it for you, Zombie Killer. We'll go over it, give our thoughts on it, because it's such a big one that you would want to hear what Kirkman has to say about it. So, Kudaj2 says, Trev, next Q&A, can you cover these 2 questions? Do you think they will have Carl reanimate as a walker? So that's number 1. And 2, do you think Rick will start wearing his hat, Carl's hat, again? Thanks. That'd be really cool, man. If Rick would start wearing, I don't know if it'd look right, to wear it with his regular kind of gear and stuff, or it makes sense for All Out War. But that would be really cool if Rick took the hat and put it on or something. But he'd probably leave it with Carl. He'll probably bury it with Carl, I would think. Something like that. So I don't think he will start wearing the hat again, but I think it'd kind of be cool if he did. I think he'll leave it with Carl in the end. And do you think they will have Carl reanimate as a walker? I don't think so. I think they'll probably, put him down with a bullet or something like that. And that's going to be a sad scene for sure. Definitely. So not really looking forward to that, but we're going to see that in the second half. So that's coming up. The First Evil 100 says, Trev, what is more ironic is that both Carl and Sophia have died from walker bites, and yet in the comic book are both still alive and well. I mean, I can't be the only one that sees or notices this after all. So that's kind of cool. In the comic book series, both Carl and Sophia are still alive. In the TV series, they're both dead. So, and they both died from walker bites. So that's kind of crazy, right? It is to think about. But one thing about it too, though, is that as you separate the comic book series more and the TV series, like as they go different routes here, you're seeing 2 different versions of the story, and people can pick which one they like better. People can say, I like the TV series version better, or I like the comic book series version better. And at least with the TV series, it's not, as they're doing things right now, it's certainly not as predictable as some people like to think it is. Some people like to think that the TV series for Walking Dead is pretty predictable, and they don't really pull, these big character deaths that you wouldn't expect to see. That's not as we can see right here, that's not true. I think they're just telling themselves that. Like when I do a video like top 10 safest characters, I do this video and I think this, and then it's like, yeah, once in a while they just, they pull that trump card and they just, that's what it is. Carl's card gets pulled, or maybe Michonne's, or eventually maybe Rick, season 10 or something. I don't know, man. But if we see the series continue to kind of wean in terms of ratings or kind of decline, you might see more and more kind of crazy, deaths and stuff like this to really try and get it back to, where it was. That would not surprise me at all. Brian Donovan says, hey, Trev, Q&A. Where did all this kumbaya hippie crap from Carl suddenly come from? This time last season, he was ready to kill Negan after gunning down 2 of his guys, and now he doesn't want to fight anymore? Maybe it's just me, but feel like the sudden change of heart seems a bit forced. Your thoughts? So that's a really good comment as well, too, from Brian here. That's true that he has kind of been back and forth now, and kind of this season he just has been 100% like that. Could it be that Negan, spending some time with Negan had an effect on him to where he doesn't really want to kill Negan, or he doesn't really want to because he kind of sees their side of things, and he sort of sees it as like, this isn't right? Does that make sense? I think that's fine. I personally don't see that as like some kind of hole or problem with the character, something where he's conflicted or just feels contrived. But that is true that it does feel like it's a little bit much. But at the same time, if you remember, think back to like season 3's finale where he kills the kid from Woodbury, and then Herschel and the others kind of scold him for it, and he talks to Rick about it and this kind of thing, and they're kind of worried about Carl. So you can kind of see in the TV series version how versus the comic version, he's more kind of like, he's not as hard. Maybe also as well too, part of as they're using Carl more, like the season 7 stuff with him kind of with the assault rifle and that, going after Negan and the other stuff, maybe when they watched that back, they were like, this doesn't feel right. Like this sucks, like this is no good or something. So let's kill him off because this just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And, maybe that, again, that could be part of the reason as well, too. There doesn't have to be just one reason why they decide to do this. If you're going to make a big decision like that, obviously there has to be a good number of things that influence your decision to do something like that. Maybe that's another part of it, too, is that they just felt like it didn't fit so well, or it didn't look right in the TV series version, or just somehow it didn't work in the same way as it did in the comics, and that could be part of it, too. So that'll be it for today's Q&A, guys. Let me know what you think. What are your, again, it's still like, it's been not even a full week yet since the mid-season finale, but what are your top reasons? Like, why? What are the reasons why you think why they did it? Why did they do it? Was it because, Chandler Riggs, Carl at his age and this kind of stuff, it just didn't look right, it just didn't work the same way as it did in the comics? Is it because you think that they were doing it to try to save the show, try to get the show to season 10, because they're not even sure if it's going to get to 10 or 11 or 12 at the rate it's going? Make sure, the people are still watching, ratings, that kind of thing. Or do you think it simply is just because they didn't want it to feel like Rick's decision logic was messed up and they wanted to really use that death to influence Rick? Just where are you guys at with this one? What do you think? Or do you think it was just kind of like, I don't know, something where every so often they'll throw in one of these out-of-the-blue character kills like or character deaths like Andrea, Carl, some of the others where you just don't see it at all, don't expect it at all, and it catches everybody off guard. So let me know what you guys think. Rate your comments below, and if you like this video, please don't forget to thumb it up below. You can also share, you can favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe, I would appreciate it, and you can do it. You can subscribe at the bottom. That's it for this one. Send me some more questions, guys, and I'll see you soon for another video. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.